Now on Coast TV News.
Vying for District 20, after Stell Parker-Selby vacated the seat, constituents will hear today from the Democrats hoping to take over leadership. Traveling for the holiday weekend, we'll tell you the best and worst times to hit the road for your 4th of July plans. Racing to pass spending bill, GOP holdouts stall votes as President Trump and Democrats battle to sway reluctant lawmakers.
We're finally drying out today with lots of sunshine expected. Great weather heading into the 4th of July. Abundant sunshine, lower humidity, and typical summer temperatures. Forecast details coming up.
This is Coast TV News Today.
Good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Matt Pensick has the day off. Thank you for joining us for our 5 o'clock hour on this Thursday morning. It is July 3rd. I'm sure this is a big travel day for everyone, maybe after work or you're starting this morning. So we're going to take a look at your forecast. Bob, we had some storms yesterday and then it got sunny and warm. It was like a completely different day.
Yeah, boy, what a day. Yeah, yesterday, Elisa, with the deluge we had in the morning hours and then the blue skies, and now we're slowly drying things out, and we're seeing the coolest morning we've seen in some time this morning with upper 60s. It's been a while since we've seen those. 69 in Laurel and Redden, 70 in Dagsboro, 70 in Millsboro, Bethany Beach at 72. The winds are very light, but the tendency is out of the west as a cold front is trying to move through. You're seeing some green blips on the radar, but all in all, it is clear right now. But we have a front that's been getting pretty much hung up right over the top of us, but I think eventually it will get a nudge out to sea, and then we'll see high pressure building in, bringing in drier air, and then the beautiful weather for the 4th of July holiday weekend. Here's Futurecast this morning at 6 o'clock. Watch for areas of fog, not dense, but it is out there a little bit, with temperatures in the 60s and 70s, and then by mid-morning we're in the 70s to around 80 in Millsboro, 80 in Bethany Beach, so a good-looking beach day on the way. By noon, 89 Salisbury, 88 in Millsboro, but the big difference is the humidity levels will be much lower, much more comfortable despite the heat, and then 70s and 80s at the coast. By mid-afternoon, upper 70s and 80s at the beaches, 90 in Lewes, 90 Millsboro, and Delmar around 90 degrees, and looking great for your evening activities with temperatures into the 80s. Day part forecast today, we're looking at light winds from the west and temperatures once again warm to hot near 90, but it'll feel more tolerable because the humidity levels will be lower, and that's going to be the weather trend heading into the holiday weekend. I'll have that in your fireworks forecast coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
All right, thank you so much, Bob. And our top story this half hour, Democrats vying for the currently vacant District 20 seat will have a chance to speak with constituents today. This is the area of District 20. It's going back to 2022. It encompasses Lewes on the east side of the district, over to Milton and Harbison on the west side. Those areas are home to over 23,000 registered voters. That seat is now vacant after Stell Parker-Selby resigned after missing every single day in the legislative session this year. The public forum is taking place tonight at the Lewes Public Library. According to the Delaware 20th Representative District Democratic Party Committee, there are 5 people participating. That event will run from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and is open to all registered Democrats. It's important to note a writ of election for that special election to fill that vacant seat has not been filed, so there are no candidates right now. However, people participating in today's forum include Alana Berry, the executive director of the Delaware Center for Justice. She says she is focused on helping families thrive. Next is Lewes Councilman Joe Elder. While he did not respond to our request for comment, his biography lists multiple degrees as a teacher, professor, and administrator. Milton Councilwoman Randy Meredith says if she's elected, she aims to improve infrastructure and address affordable housing. Keith Steck is an Army veteran and says his activism addresses water, environmental issues, and overdevelopment. And the 5th participant is Ruby Keeler Schaefer. She is the first Democrat to put her name in for that seat vacated by Stell Parker-Selby. Schaefer filed as a Democratic candidate for the 20th Representative District House seat in the 2026 election. As a lifelong Delawarean, Schaefer lives in Lewes and owns a small business. She began her public service career in the Delaware Department of State Planning and later worked with the Division of Soil and Water at DENREC.
Representation is very important for the district. There are many issues to be addressed. There are many problems to search for solutions, and I am the candidate that will work very hard to do that.
And politicians tell CoastTV News that a special election for District 20 is set to take place this summer. And the Sussex County Republican Party officially named Nikki Miller as their candidate for an expected special election in District 20. Miller already filed for the 2026 race. This is Miller's second attempt at the seat. Miller lost to former Representative Parker Selby by just 275 votes in 2024. Miller told CoastTV she hopes the experience she gained from past campaigns will better her chances in a special election.
When I was principal and when I'm in administrator role, I care about constituents, right? That's just going to be bigger now. So my responsive to the constituents, being that voice for them, not only when we're voting on things, but being there to support them in other ways.
And candidates can officially file for that special election once the writ is issued, for which we are still waiting. And so how did we get here? It was last month that Democratic Representative Stell Parker Selby resigned from her position. The resignation comes after Parker Selby was absent all 6 months of the current legislative session, and after months that CoastTV was trying to get answers for the people of the 20th District. In the letter, Parker Selby confirmed that in December she suffered, quote, a serious medical emergency. Some voters we spoke with in Milton expressed sympathy, while others say they still have unanswered questions about how we got to this point and what will happen from here. And after refusing to answer interview questions from CoastTV in the past few weeks, Delaware Governor Matt Meyer said this about Parker Selby's resignation. Quote, Stell reminds us all that true public service means through her passionate advocacy for civil rights, education, health care, and well-being of Delaware families, end quote. And Speaker of the House, Melissa Minor Brown, paid tribute to Stell Parker Selby, acknowledging how Parker Selby broke barriers as the first Black representative from Sussex County, also writing, quote, we will all miss her voice and calm presence in our chamber, end quote. Key takeaways from all of this: while we still await the writ of election, both sides of the aisle are preparing to fill that seat. House issue a writ of election up to 10 days after the District 20 seat becomes vacant. Once that happens, then the date of that special election would be finalized. It has to be within 30 to 35 days of the writ of elections being issued. And for more information on what happens next and an in-depth look at the possible candidates for that special election, you can head to coasttv.com or our news app. And we are now taking a live look at the Bay Bridge in Maryland. We see a couple cars on that roadway. It looks pretty typical for a Thursday morning commute, but we expect later we're going to see a lot of our friends from DC and Baltimore drive to the coast to celebrate Independence Day weekend. And here's the scene in Newcastle County. This is Interstate 95 and Route 1. We're seeing a different view on this roadway. A couple cars there, more than we saw on the Bay Bridge. This big corridor that brings our friends from Wilmington and Philadelphia to the beaches. Drivers heading to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge are getting a heads up on the best and worst times to travel. The Maryland State Highway Administration says traffic should be normal right now through the 4th, but the agency says avoid using the bridge Saturday and Sunday between the hours of 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. The State Highway Administration is stopping non-emergency lane closures from July 3rd to the early Monday morning. They'll also have extra patrols in busy areas to quickly clear broken down cars and help with crash cleanup. Drivers hitting the roads this 4th of July weekend may not have as much pain at the pump this year, according to AAA. The average price of gas in Delaware is $3.19 per gallon. In Maryland, it's $3.24, and in Virginia, it's $3.10. This does not stray too far from the national average of $3.17. That's down from $3.49 per gallon last year. AAA says a record-setting 61.6 million people are expected to travel by car this 4th of July weekend. And we have coverage for events happening to celebrate 4th of July holiday. Downtown Milford is hosting a special First Friday. Officials say people can expect vendors, yard games, and food trucks at Bicentennial Park from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Salisbury says the fireworks show will kick off Friday at James M. Bennett High School. Officials say gates open at 6 and the show begins at 9:15. And in Ocean City, there are 2 locations for fireworks, Caroline Stage and Uptown Northside Park. That event will start at 8 p.m. with music, and then the sky will light up at 9:30. And the fireworks do mean closures in some spots in Ocean City, including the soccer field and walking path on the northwest side of the Northside Park. A lot of streets turn into no parking areas starting at 2 p.m. on Friday. The inlet parking lot is open, but will be $6 an hour on the 4th. In the Delaware political world, an education information bill is headed to Governor Matt Meyer's desk. House Bill 29, sponsored by Brian Shoup of Milford, would require the Delaware Education to make its annual school performance data reports more accessible online. It also adds new requirements like listing career pathways offered at high schools and including data on low-income students and English language learners. Happening now, the Delaware Hispanic Commission has sent a letter to Governor Meyer requesting he veto Senate Bill 63. If signed into law, that bill would prohibit an employer from improperly classifying an employee as an independent contractor. Sponsors say it's needed to stop companies from dodging labor laws, but in this letter to the governor, the commission says it puts too much pressure on general contractors and can push out small Hispanic-owned businesses that rely on subcontracting work. The massive mixed-use plan called Cool Springs Crossing was back in front of the Sussex County Planning and Zoning Commission on Wednesday. The county gave the first green light recommending to approve the project with a handful of conditions that will go to the county council. Cool Spring Crossing would go on Route 9 and Cool Spring Road. The idea includes more than 1,900 housing units spread across 7 villages, plus a YMCA, grocery store, restaurants, a hotel, and an art or theater center, and more. The recommendations still must go to the county council for final approval. And we are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. House Republicans are racing to pass the president's massive spending bill before the July 4th holiday. The legislation appearing to overcome opposition from a group of GOP holdouts who were holding the process. As NBC's Alice Barr shows us, after overcoming a key procedural hurdle, debate is now underway before a vote on the final passage.
Passed the one big, beautiful bill.
Republicans grinding push to pass President Trump's massive tax and spending bill hitting a hitch in the House, where GOP holdouts held up a procedural vote for hours overnight before finally voting to move ahead. House Speaker Mike Johnson fielding calls from President Trump all night.
And said, who else needs to have a discussion? I'm ready to get on the phone.
The president posting after midnight, what are the Republicans waiting for? What are you trying to prove? MAGA is not happy and it's costing you votes. Earlier in the day, he met with holdout Republicans at the White House looking to ease concerns over the bill's spending, adding substantially to the deficit.
I think we got some good information from the president.
Speaker Johnson saying he wants to avoid ping-ponging the bill with the Senate so the House can't make any changes, even though conservatives don't like Senate adjustments to clean energy credits and the Medicaid overhaul. While moderate Brian Fitzpatrick was ultimately the only Republican voting no on the procedural step, along with all Democrats, who slammed federal aid cuts projected to cost more than 11 million Americans their health insurance.
The largest cut to health care in our history, the largest transfer of wealth from working families to the billionaire class.
The extraordinary things in this bill are so important for the American people.
GOP leaders adamant the bill's key components extending the Trump tax cuts while funding defense and deportations. And the president, who wants it all done, will prove too popular for Republicans to turn down. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And we're just getting started this morning on Coast TV News Today. We still have a lot more news to get to. Coming up, 'tis the season. Now that the weather is warm, spotted lanternflies are out and about. We'll tell you why environmentalists say to squash the bug. Also preventing tragedies, we'll show you a demo about how hot cars can get in the summertime. But first, flavor meets future. Meet one Sussex County business owner serving up meals and motivation to rebuild his community. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
We don't get to choose what we're born into, but we do get to choose how we use those experiences. That's the mindset for one man in Sussex County, a businessman. As Coast TV's Emma Aiken shows us in today's Coastal Connections, he turns pain into positivity.
Cooking up cheesesteaks. It's a lifestyle for Gary Shirey, who owns Bub's Grub's food truck. But things used to be a lot different.
My dad went to jail for murder when I was 6 years old.
Dysfunctional is the word Shirey used to describe his childhood.
I thank God every day that I'm still alive. You know, the heroin epidemic is killing people.
Shirey struggled with a heroin addiction himself and ultimately ended up behind bars. That's where he says he hit rock bottom. But committed to breaking the cycle, Shirey vowed to give his kids a better childhood than he had. So, in 2019, he bought a food truck, and that was the start of Bub's Grubs.
So if I used to get high and spend all that money getting high, I can spend that money to feed kids.
Now he does, feeding communities not just cheesesteaks, but motivation. And he can proudly say he's someone his kids are proud of.
My son can go into school and say, my daddy owns this truck.
Shirey says his change started with taking accountability, and while he'll never forget his past,
And November 29th will be 9 years that I haven't had a needle in my arm. 9 years.
he's focused on feeding his future. For Coastal Connections, I'm Emma Aiken.
The time is now 5:20 and we are taking a live look outside at Lewes this morning. And Bob, you have something going on behind you there. I believe that's a firework. Now with fireworks, I know, we need clear weather for fireworks, Bob.
Yes, and I think Mother Nature is going to deliver. Elisa, we're looking at gorgeous conditions as we go into tomorrow. Lower humidity, no chance of rain, looking great with temperatures at least in the mid 80s, maybe upper 80s, and then heading into the evening, looking great for the fireworks with temperatures falling through the 70s with clear skies and light winds. So just perfect conditions as we go into your 4th of July holiday weekend. Temperatures, we're looking at 60s and low 70s out the door. It's been a while since we've seen upper 60s, but 69 in Delmar, Gumboro, Redden right now, 70 in Millsboro, Bethany Beach at 72, and the wind's starting to come in out of the west. We're trying to get a cold front moving through Delmarva. It's stubborn. It doesn't want to do it. We're seeing some green blips on the radar right now, nothing in the way of rain, but that front, I think, is starting to move off the coast. Now, this map has it to our west, but it's been kind of going back and forth. But eventually, high pressure will nudge it out to sea, and we'll start to get into some drier air. There is another front across Michigan and the upper Midwest, and that will be dropping in tonight. Could cause some storms across southeast PA up into the New York area, but I think they'll fizzle out before they get here. And then down here across the southeast coast, we're watching this area. There could be some tropical development with an area of low pressure, and it's possible this drifts up the coast and close to us by Monday, but we'll keep an eye on it to see if it does get tropical characteristics. Otherwise, high pressure returns. We're looking at beautiful conditions today through the weekend, a gorgeous 4th of July, lower humidity and temperatures in the 80s and low 90s. Here's Futurecast at 6 a.m. We're in the low 70s. There are some areas of fog out there, so just take it slow. And then warming through the 80s. It will be a warm day with temperatures upper 80s by noon, right around 91 in Salisbury, 90 in Millsboro, 90 in Lewes, and mainly 80s, I think, at the beaches. And then this evening, there will be some storms to our north, I think, but they'll fizzle out before they get here. It will be another push of cooler air behind another front tonight into tomorrow morning with temperatures in the 60s and low 70s tomorrow morning, and then looking great for your 4th of July. Late morning 70s and low 80s by mid-afternoon. I think we're at least in the mid-80s, around 85 in Salisbury, 83 in Millsboro, a cooler 77 Fenwick Island and Dewey Beach, 76, and then looking great once again as we head into Friday evening, right around fireworks time. Clear skies, light winds, and temperatures in the 70s, and then falling into the 60s as we go into Saturday morning. And here is our muggy meter. It's still a little humid as we go through today, but then that next push of cooler air will drop us into the comfortable range Friday and Saturday, and then it gets very humid again. I think out ahead of this potential tropical system that's coming up the coast could graze us on Monday with some heavier rain and storms, and we'll continue to watch that as we go through time. 89 in Seaford and Georgetown today, 87 in Laurel, mostly sunny, upper 80s from Easton down to Vienna. And Salisbury, hot for you, 91, but a cooler 87 in Ocean City. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, looking great for the 4th and into the weekend with temperatures in the upper 80s. We'll be watching that potential potential coastal system Monday for showers and storms, 88, and lingering showers and storms into Tuesday and 87. Congratulations to Linda Ennis from Pocomoke City, Maryland, on winning a brand new umbrella from Paul Davis and Coast TV.
Thank you, Bob. As summer is getting into full swing on Delmarva, the Delaware Office of Highway Safety is raising awareness about the dangers of heat stroke. OHS hosted an event this week at the Dover DMV to educate families on child passenger safety and how quickly a parked car can reach dangerous temperatures. With hot days ahead, officials say it's crucial to be careful.
As you can see, the temperature can increase in a very short amount of time. It can raise 20 degrees in 10 minutes to make those conditions very unsafe for children in cars.
And if you missed that event, the next one is set up for Wednesday, August 20th from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Georgetown DMV. Up next on Coast TV News today, 'tis the season for lanternflies. We'll tell you why officials say if you see them, squash them. Don't go anywhere. You may have seen them, swatted them, or squashed them. We're talking about spotted lanternflies. The invasive species don't bite or sting, but they suck the sugar out of trees, leaving them weak. If you see them, environmentalists say kill them.
So you might see that little black bug with white spots, or you might see a red bug with white spots. Same bug, just different stages. And then in a few weeks, those will transition to the adult stage where they grow wings.
And the Delaware Department of Agriculture says kill any lanternflies you see and scrape off their egg masses if they are on trees. And calling all cool community cats and neighbors who care for them, the Brandywine Valley SPCA says appointments are available to spay, neuter, and vaccinate outdoor cats. You can bring up to 5 cats, and it's $10 per cat. And Bob, I think today is shaping out to be a good beach day. I think that's what a lot of people want to hear as we're headed into a holiday weekend.
Yep, absolutely, Lisa. And bring a big jug of water and a lot of sunscreen, or at least sunscreen that has that higher SPF. Very important as we're looking at very high UV index. Rip current threat is low. Ocean City and Fenwick Island, a few clouds, otherwise sunshine. Temperatures in the mid-80s this afternoon. Waves around 1 to 2 feet. Lewes, you're into the mid to upper 80s, mid-80s in Rehoboth as well with sunshine. Pretty smooth ferry ride up to Cape May with light winds. On the bay side, upper 80s in Cambridge today, mid to upper 80s in Crisfield with nice weather. And we're going to continue the gorgeous weather into the 4th of July and then the holiday weekend as well. Much more in your forecast coming up in the next half hour.
And after the break on Coast TV News today, murder trial terminated. What happens now? That suspect in the 2022 murder of 4 University of Idaho students has accepted a plea deal. And while we await the writ for a special election in District 20, a possible Republican candidate aims to garner support. And Democrats seek District 20. We'll give you a look at the people participating in a forum today in Lewes. All that and more as Coast TV News today continues.
Now on Coast TV News.
Vying for District 20, after Stell Parker Selby vacated the seat, constituents will hear today from the Democrats hoping to take over leadership. Traveling for the holiday weekend, we'll tell you the best and worst times to hit the road for your 4th of July plans. Racing to pass spending bill, GOP holdouts stall votes as President Trump and Democrats battle to sway reluctant lawmakers.
We're finally drying out today with lots of sunshine expected. Great weather heading into the 4th of July. Abundant sunshine, lower humidity, and typical summer temperatures. Forecast details coming up.
This is Coast TV News Today.
Good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Matt Pensick has the day off. It is Thursday, July 3rd, another warm, maybe even hot day on the coast. But Bob told me some good news that the humidity is dropping. And Bob, I think that just makes it more bearable outside. And I'm thinking today is going to be a big beach day for people.
I would get that impression too, Elisa. Good morning. We go from miserable dew point levels to still a little muggy today, but then much better heading into the 4th. And temperatures, the coolest they've been in a while, 69 in Delmar and Gumboro, 70 in Millsboro, Lewes and Rehoboth, that's 73. Willard's right now 68 degrees. Wind starting to come in out of the west. Cold front trying to press through the area. It looks like showers on the radar. This is just some interference with the radar as the cold front is pretty much just hanging out right over Delmarva, but it will get that push later this morning and this afternoon with high pressure pressure, and that will bring in some drier air. There is another front across western New York that will drop in as we go through this afternoon and tonight, maybe bring storms north and east of Philly, but I think we'll be staying dry. Maybe some areas of fog this morning, otherwise that will start to burn off, and it's going to get very warm to hot, upper 80s by noon, lower 90s away from the coast, but beautiful at the beaches with mainly 80s there, and looking quiet as we go into this evening. Drivecast, do watch out for areas of fog. Give it the yellow light through 7 a.m. and then it should start to lift. And then the PM commute looking good. Hot car though, sunny, hot, temperatures near 90 degrees.
Thank you, Bob. Our top story this half hour, Democrats vying for the currently vacant District 20 seat will have a chance to speak to constituents at a public forum. The area encompasses Lewes on the east side of the district over to Milton and Harbison on the west side. It's home to over 23,000 registered voters. The seat is now vacant after Stell Parker Selby resigned after missing every single day in the legislative session this year. That public forum is taking place today at the Lewes Public Library. According to the Delaware 20th Representative District Democratic Party Committee, there are 5 people participating. That event runs from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and is open to all registered Democrats. It's important to note a writ of election for that special election to fill that vacant seat has not yet been filed, so there are no candidates right now. However, people participating in today's forum includes Alana Berry, the executive director of the Delaware Center for Justice. She says she is focused on helping families thrive. Next is Lewes Councilman Joe Elder. While he did not respond to our request for comment, his biography lists multiple degrees as a teacher, professor, and administrator. Milton Councilwoman Randy Meredith says if she is elected, she aims to improve infrastructure and address affordable housing. Keith Steck is an Army veteran who says his activism addresses water, environmental issues, and overdevelopment. The 5th participant is Ruby Keeler Schaefer. She is the first Democrat to file for the 20th Representative District House seat in the 2026 election. She lives in Lewes and owns a small business. The Sussex County Republican Party officially named Nikki Miller as their candidate for an expected special election in District 20. Miller already filed for the 2026 race. This is Miller's second attempt at the seat. She lost to former Representative Parker Selby by just 275 votes in 2024. Miller told CoastTV she hopes the experience she gained from past campaigns will better her chances in a special election. And while we still await the writ of election, both preparing to fill that seat, House Speaker Melissa Minor Brown can issue a writ of election up to 10 days after the District 20 seat becomes vacant. Once that happens, then the date of that special election would be finalized, and it has to be within 30 to 35 days of that writ of elections being issued. And we are now taking a live look outside at the Bay Bridge. We're seeing more cars than we saw just half an hour ago, and we expect to see many of our friends from DC and Baltimore drive over that bridge to spend their Independence holiday here on the coast. And here's I-95 in Newcastle County, another highway expected to see an influx of drivers these next few days as people head to the coast for the weekend. Looks pretty empty right now. And drivers heading to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge are getting a heads up on the best and the worst times to travel. The Maryland State Highway Administration says traffic should be normal right now through the 4th, but the agency says avoid using the bridge Saturday and Sunday between the hours of 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. The State Highway Administration is stopping non-emergency lane closures from July 3rd to early Monday morning. They'll also have extra patrols in busy areas to quickly clear broken down cars and help with crash cleanup. This just in, House Speaker Mike Johnson says the House is set to hold a final floor vote on the president's budget bill this morning. That's after GOP holdouts ended long stalemates last night and voted to allow it past procedural hurdles. As Amy Kiley shows us, what happens next could shape the future of Medicaid, border security, food stamps, and some taxes.
Look forward to moving it forward.
It's do or die time for lawmakers who want to meet President Donald Trump's deadline for his sweeping budget bill. He wants to sign it by tomorrow, but that depends on whether House Republicans can pass it in time. GOP leaders praised the bill's spending cuts, an extension of trillions of dollars in tax breaks. The legislation also contains billions for immigrant detentions and Trump's border wall.
And we're going to do right by the American people. This is going to be a great thing for the country.
Democrats say they don't want to reduce funding for Medicaid and food stamps. They also point to analysis showing the wealthiest Americans get the most money from the bill's tax breaks. Without Democrat support, Republicans could only spare 3 votes. Procedural stalemates overnight suggest the party is struggling to unify.
Mr. Speaker, my understanding is that House Republicans have kept this vote open longer than any other Congress in the history of the House of Representatives.
Most reluctant Republicans say they worry the bill could add trillions to the national debt. Some have expressed concerns about cuts to Medicaid. That, as Democrats were calling the unexpected GOP vote in 2017, that stopped the repeal of the Affordable Care Act.
All we need are 4 Republicans to have John McCain-level courage and stand up in defense of the health care of the American people.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The suspect in the 2022 murder of 4 University of Idaho students is now pleading guilty. Brian Koberger changed his plea in a hearing Wednesday and admitted to the first-degree murders of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernoble, and Ethan Chapin, as well as a felony burglary charge.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being?
Yes.
Kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
Kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
Did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
With the guilty plea, the 30-year-old will avoid the death penalty in exchange for a life sentence and waiving his right to appeal. And there's still a lot more news to get to this morning on CoastTV News Today. Coming up, social media managing will tell you about the new rules for children in Virginia. And the Phillies hosted the Padres for a doubleheader. Find out how Philadelphia's long day turned out. Stay with us on CoastTV News Today.
5:42 on our Thursday morning. Irish Ice Cam 72 in Lewes right now. Your visibility is good. Watch for areas of patchy fog, inland areas, and a little cooler than it has been for a change. Upper 60s and low 70s. Dew point temperatures still in the muggy range, so we're still a little humid out there right now. Nothing in the way of rain, just some green blips on the radar, not a big deal. But we do have a front that's trying to move through as a cold front. I think it will as we go through the day as high pressure builds in. There's another front to the north that could trigger some storms to our north later today, but I think your golf game is okay. Still a little humid out there. I'll put it in the good category. Mostly sunny, warm, less humid, and a high of 90. Call the CoastTV First Alert weather phone. Your forecast just a call away. Sponsored by Brockstead Mandalis Federico.
Thank you, Bob. New this morning, construction is underway on a major upgrade to US 13 Truck Weight and Inspection Station in Delaware, one of Maryland's oldest truck inspection sites. You can see that area right here on your screen. It's along US 13 between Mallard Drive and Winter Boulevard. According to the Maryland Department of Transportation, work includes new truck height detectors, an LED signal display, a modern deep pit scale with updated computer systems, and that project also upgrades traffic barriers and lighting. Drivers should expect delays Monday, July 7th as the Maryland State Highway Administration begins repairing 2 bridges in Salisbury. Work will impact parts of US 50 and Main Street over the Wicomico River. You can see that area right here. MDOT says all work is set to begin at 7 a.m. weather permitting. The agency says all construction is expected to be done by May 2026.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
The Phillies hosted the Padres for a doubleheader yesterday, and the 2 games could not have gone more differently. In Game 1, Philadelphia fell behind 6-0, and its comeback attempt fell short. San Diego eked out a 6-4 win, but let's take a look at what Game 2 had in store. Let's skip right ahead to the 4th inning. No score yet, 1 on, and Jackson Merrill chops one off. Christopher Sanchez through the hole for a single. Fernando Tatis Jr. comes in to score. The Padres take a 1-0 lead. In the bottom of the 4th inning, same score until Max Kepler takes Dylan Cease deep for a 2-run home run, his 10th bomb of the season. The Phillies go up 2-1, their first lead of either game that day. 5th inning, still 2-1 until Brandon Marsh blasts off Cease for a solo shot, his 3rd dinger of the season. The Phillies go up 3-1. Later in the inning, Kyle Schwarber pops it up. He's trying to add to the lead, but Jose Iglesias chases down the ball and makes the catch somehow, some way. Diving, sliding, goes backhanded. I don't really think he needed to, but he gets the style points. He gets the highlight. He gets the out. What he didn't get is the win because Christopher Sanchez settled in for a great day on the mound. 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, 5-1 win for the Phillies. That'll be all for sports. Have a great rest of your day.
And now here's a look at some of the top stories in the world of entertainment. Here's Douglas Hyde with today's Hollywood Minute.
We're here to celebrate and announce the class of 2026.
The Hollywood Walk of Fame just revealed the list of celebs who will receive a star next year. Timothy Chalamet, Emily Blunt, Demi Moore, and Molly Ringwald are among the film actors on the list, with Miley Cyrus, Josh Groban, and Bone Thugs-n-Harmony among the musical honorees. And Sarah Michelle Gellar, Gordon Ramsay, and Noah Wiley are some of the TV stars being honored as well. The Foo Fighters are celebrating their 30th anniversary with the release of their new single, Today's Song. It's their first new music since 2023. The band will keep the celebration going with live performances later this year.
The rules are simple. Survive 30 days with the entire nation hunting you down. And get your family out of Slumside for good.
Here's your first look at Glenn Powell in the upcoming remake of the 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger film, The Running Man. And like the original, it's based on a Stephen King story about a televised game show that forces contestants to fight for their lives. Coleman Domingo co-stars in the sci-fi thriller, which hits theaters in November. In Hollywood, I'm Douglas Hyde.
Nice start to our Thursday morning. Dry tech cam in Ocean City, 73. Still a little on the muggy side today, but we do start to dry things out, especially as we go into your 4th of July. Looking really good there. And then for the holiday weekend as well. I'll have your complete holiday forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The time is now 5:49 and we are taking a live look at Rehoboth, which is a spot I think will be plenty busy today, Bob, and this weekend. But Bob, you're standing in a firework again. Would you like to explain?
It's probably not the safest place to be, is it? But quite the sparkler here, Lisa. Yeah, look at that as we're getting ready for the 4th of July, and the weather leading up to the 4th is looking good. It's a little muggy today, but it dries out more so into the 4th. No rain, looking at temperatures in the mid-80s into the afternoon hours tomorrow. Lots of sunshine, looking great for the cookouts and the fireworks as we go into the evening hours. As temperatures fall through the 70s, perfect fireworks weather with light winds and temperatures falling from the 70s, from the mid-70s at 9 p.m. to about 71 by 11 p.m. And temperatures right now, upper 60s and low 70s, a little cooler than they have been. 69 in Redden, 70 in Millsboro, 69 in Gumboro. Winds are mainly calm, but the tendency is out of the west as a cold front is trying to move through. Now we're looking at mostly clear skies, just some green blips, ignore those. That's not rain. We're looking at a front that's trying to move through, but it's just kind of waving back and forth over Delmarva, but eventually we'll get a push and then this front will move out to sea. There's another front now moving through southeast Canada, Toronto into western New York. And that could trigger some storms maybe a little bit later today toward north and west. And maybe a tropical disturbance trying to get going off the southeast coast. We'll continue to monitor this, but it could be moving up the coast and maybe grazing us on Monday with some rain. But until then, we're looking at beautiful conditions today through the weekend with lower humidity through the 4th and into the weekend, and temperatures in the 80s and low 90s. As we're looking at some fog this morning, otherwise we're looking at another warm to hot day by noon into the upper 80s, lower 90s by later this afternoon. A little cooler at the beaches. I think there will be some storms toward north near Philly. Otherwise, I think they will fizzle out before they get here. And then we'll see maybe some clouds from those storms late tonight, and then into tomorrow morning cooler, and then into your 4th of July beautiful. Mid-80s into the afternoon with lower humidity, and then 70s for the fireworks Friday evening, and then dipping even lower into the 60s as we go into Saturday morning. As we're still a little muggy today, but then comfortable Friday and Saturday, and then that humidity shoots up again. And then there could be a system moving up the coast on Monday, could be with some showers and storms. We'll watch that as we go through time. Looking at 89 in Harrington today, 87 Millsboro, 84 in Rehoboth with mostly sunny skies. Eastern Shore, upper 80s for you, around 91 in Salisbury and 87 in Chincoteague. Paul Davis 7-day forecast looking great for the 4th, 87. And then for the weekend, dry, upper 80s, and then that chance of some storms early next week, and temperatures pretty close to normal in the upper 80s.
Thank you, Bob. New restrictions aimed at curbing social media use for people under 16 are now in effect in Virginia. The law requiring social media companies to set default time limits on 1 hour per day for minors is also now in effect. Governor Glenn Youngkin signed that bill back in May. However, those restrictions will not be enforced until January 1st, giving social media platforms time to add the updates. But Pam Groff, an elementary school teacher and mother, says she thinks the responsibility lies with parents to impart good technology habits.
I think part of the problem is that parents themselves model being on social media far more than they should as well. And if parents are concerned about their kids being on social media, then they should look at their own usage, and they should look at how families need to look at how they're interacting with each other.
And parents will also have the option to add or take away time from their child's social media accounts in Virginia. And the time is now 5:53, and we are going to check in with our coastal pet of the day. And today's coastal pet of the day is ready for the long holiday weekend. On your screen right now is Esmeralda. As you can see, she is all dressed up to celebrate July 4th. Esmeralda was submitted to us by Tammy in Millsboro. And we want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen, scan the QR code at the top of your screen to submit your furry friend to Coast TV News. Then, of course, watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all of the pets we feature. It is 5:57, and we're going to take another quick look at your forecast before you head out the door. Bob, we have another warm day, but I think people are going to be excited about that.
I think so too. It's going to be less humid, not perfect, but
sign.
definitely lower humidity, Elisa, than it has been, as we have one cold front trying to push through, and it will eventually. We're into the upper 80s, close to 90 this afternoon, so not as oppressive. Another cold front drops in tonight, and I think we're looking at gorgeous conditions, drier air behind that into the 4th of July. Paul Davis 10-day forecast, 87, gorgeous on Friday for the cookouts and fireworks in the evening. Upper 80s into the weekend. Watching early next week for some showers and storms. Possible coastal system. We'll watch that. Upper 80s, and then a little cooler by the end of the week next week, and a few more chances for showers and storms.
And coming up at 6, District 20 development will tell you how both sides of the aisle are vying to fill that seat vacated by Stell Parker Selby.